I think I figured out why everyone says parenting is so hard, because for the majority of people, you are parenting in a phase of life where you really should have already gotten parenting down pat. Now, here's what I mean by it. Biologically, we're having kids later and later and later. And there's a sense in which that's fine. It's fine. It's good to have kids later in life. There's benefits to that. But I think our bodies and for the vast majority of history seems to indicate that having kids earlier in life, and what I mean by this is young 20s, I don't mean teenagers or whatever, having kids earlier seems to have a lot of benefits. Now, in the sense of, think about it, you're having your first kid going from 0 to 1 is probably the hardest jump out of all of the jumps, because you're learning nappies, sleep schedules, how to feed someone, how to actually just care for someone else. It's a very big jump in sacrifice. Your priorities are entirely reoriented, and the things you want go to the back of the line, which is a big sacrifice and a big jump and a big change in life, mindset, energy, etc. It would make sense that then it's easier to almost do that when you're a little bit younger, early 20s, life is a little bit more malleable, you have a lot more energy, instead of early 30s or even 40s when some people are pushing out having kids. So I think, because I don't know, maybe this was my experience. And I will add a caveat. We had a very easy baby. Well, he was actually quite tough in several areas, but we didn't have colic. We didn't have any NICU or large complications that required rehospitalization. For the most part, I found parenting actually easier than what everyone hyped it up to be. I think everyone tries to set your level of expectation as if you're going to have the most horrific kid. And I found parenting to actually be way easier than that. It was still massive. It was still a large sacrifice. Horrific things happened, but it was still a lot easier than what everyone was making it out to be. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Hello, Sinner Saints, my fellow ribs and the glories of men. Welcome back to another video. Don't mind the road noise. We live in the hood. Today, I want to talk about having kids under 25, because recently I'm a part of a church network, and not a massive church network, it still has that small church vibe, but there's multiple of us, so we get the benefits of a mega church without being a mega church and still having that small town vibe and wholesomeness. But most of the young adults, actually, I should say, under 25, gathered for a recent kind of event to kind of catch up. And I think it was a little bit of a mixer for the singles as well. But I looked around, my husband and I went, and of course we had to take along our son. And I looked around and I was like, oh my goodness, we are the only couple in a network of probably 1,000 people. And there's quite a few hundred young adults. There wasn't obviously over 100 there, but aside from one other family, we are the only ones under 25 with kids, which is such a fascinating thought. If you go back even 10, 20, 50 years, it was a very, very different expectation and culture in that regard. I don't think it would have had the same stats all those years ago. And so that was a super interesting thought to me, because, well, there was I think 4 married couples there. We were one, and we were the only one with a kid, which is kind of sad, because marriage is a good thing. Marriage is a good thing. It's sanctifying. It grows you. It causes you to learn sacrifice in a new way. It's a fantastic thing just on your personal development, let alone the benefits of financial, emotional, physical, sexual, spiritual, all the other benefits that go alongside with it. And a result of marriage is, of course, having children, because we all know how that happens. And so I found it such an interesting thought that, marriage and family life for under 25s is so rare these days. And part and parcel, I think it's an overreaction to a few things, like an overreaction to teen pregnancy. So then having kids young is bad, therefore that includes in your young to mid-20s as well. Feminism, of course, student loans, financial, just the housing crisis in general. Like, there's a lot of things and a lot of reasons to delay having marriage and children. But if it should still be seen and revered as a priority, because it's a good thing. The more I talk about this issue, the more I get to meet more and more of you who have had kids really young, and who have gotten to share your experiences, and I'm really thankful for them. Very few of you mentioned that you regret having kids under 25s, like in your under 25s. And in fact, if anything, you wish you had done it sooner or had more, and I share that thought with you as well. Of course, don't have kids if you're in a dire financial situation, if you're not married, or if you're insanely young. Once you're an adult, make your decisions with wisdom, obviously. It was just such a fascinating observation that I still have kind of been left a little bit shuddered by. I wonder if a large part of it is cultural in the way that families are bringing up their children, to think of that as a later in life thing. And I mean later in life as in late 20s to 30s. Or I wonder if it's some people who never experience independence and live so long under the protection of their family that they never seek the independence or a partner to cohabitate with. I know for me, being single, it was great. I made very good use of my single season, I think, looking back. But I was like, man, this would be a lot easier if we could at least halve these bills and if there could be two of us working to our common goals rather than just one of us. And so I think being single and living alone or living independent from my family definitely motivated my search to find a husband even faster. But I still haven't figured out the exact cause of it. Obviously, there are all the other situations that I mentioned before, but if you have any ideas, feel free to drop them down below. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is look at where you're at. Are you in your teens? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Are you just becoming an adult? You have all the world before you. You have so many options, but realize how quickly those options fade. I have a few friends who kind of coasted on just the pure opportunity alone and said, I'll be fine. I've got all these options. And then 5-10 years pass, they look around and they have no other options left. So start knowing where you want to go and start intentionally taking steps towards that goal. Don't float through life. If that's one thing I could say to people, don't be complacent in life. Be an active participant in your own life. You'll get the places that you want to a lot faster. Anyway, that's my exhortation for today. Grace and peace from our Lord and Savior, and I'll see you tomorrow.